we have an exclusive sit-down interview with the new head coach of the Indiana Fever. She was the 2023 WNBA Coach of the Year, an NCAA champion, a baller herself, a WNBA champion, and my former broadcasting teammate. What's up, Stephanie White?
What's going on? How are you?
Stephanie White entered the Indiana Fever locker room with a goal: turn a talented yet inexperienced team into championship contenders. Her first step was to create a plan that would push Caitlin Clark's game beyond what defenders could handle.
Looking up all of your history and stories, and I'm like, this is a real Indy gal. Like, born in Indiana, you played your college ball in Indiana at Purdue, you played for the Fever in the WNBA along other stops. In coaching, you actually were an assistant coach with the Fever, and now here you are, back as the head coach of the Indiana Fever.
Behind the scenes, White has been developing a game-changing system to unleash Clark, Boston, and Mitchell in ways we've never seen. The details she shared show how she plans to surprise the WNBA and quickly elevate Indiana to the top. This isn't just a rebuild, it's a complete reinvention. So, what exactly is White's plan, and how does it differ from what former coach Christy Sides had in place? If you're excited for the Fever season, drop "champions" in the comments below. Let's go.
You've got an interesting roster that you're heading into as the head coach, and we focus in on the now for the Indiana Fever. You've got a unique locker room. It is undoubtedly super talented, but it's such a mashup of unique personalities, and I'll also say established storylines for each of these players. There aren't some players that haven't figured out what they're about, or the storyline hasn't been created for them in the W. And you've got all of this coming into your locker room. So, season's on the way. What are going to be your first priorities? Maybe even exercises in creating common ground and meshing this team.
When Stephanie White returned to Indiana, she didn't just bring a clipboard and whistle. She brought detailed plans for a basketball empire. A few months into her role, we're starting to see the foundation of what she's building, and it's much more than just gathering talent.
One of the early conversations, for us as a coaching staff, has just been about connection and building relationship, and approaching the players who were in that locker room a year ago in hey, what is it that you want to accomplish? What is it that we can help you? You don't know what you don't know, right? And most of those guys were pretty young. Certainly pretty young in terms of playoff experience. And then approaching them in sort of a self-scout way. This is what we would do to you when we played you.
The Fever's 20-20 record last season may seem decent on paper, but anyone who saw them play against top teams like New York and Las Vegas saw the real story. There's another level they can reach. Christy Sides and the Fever's supporting cast couldn't compete with championship contenders. The gap in execution and defense was obvious. Having stars like Clark, Mitchell, Boston, and Hull wasn't enough. White knew this needed a total system overhaul.
All of those players are going to help us on the defensive end of the floor, which has been our greatest deficiency. And so I think that having veteran players who understand what it is to be a part of this organization, who are not afraid of all of the things that come with being a part of the Indiana Fever, and who ultimately, at the end of the day, are great teammates, great people, and just want to win.
What's interesting is White's focus on defense as the foundation for championship success. While fans enjoy watching Caitlin Clark's deep threes, Kelsey Mitchell's amazing shots, Aaliyah Boston's post moves, and Lexi Hull's deep shots, White understands the hard truth: offensive highlights alone won't bring championships to Indianapolis. The Fever allowed 82.2 points per game last season, ranking near the bottom of the league. Championship teams start with defense, not just scoring.
It was really important who we added in free agency and in the offseason fit who we already had. I mean, look, our big three with Caitlin and Kelsey and Aaliyah, you got to have certain kinds of vets that fit around them. That, number one, fill the gaps that we need in our lineups, in our rosters. But number two, have accomplished multiple things that can lead them in a way that they haven't been led before, but also understand where they fit in the scope of what the Indiana Fever is about now and what we're about in the future, and that give us a chance to compete for championship.
The recent roster moves show White's strategic vision. Dana Bonner wasn't brought in just for her scoring ability. She adds what White describes as mother hen energy, fiercely competitive while also nurturing the young talent.
Bonner, who, again, winner, right, has won at every level, competed and won for a championship in Phoenix. competed for championships with us in Connecticut. Versatility, which is critical for our system and what we want. Ultra competitive. But also like a mother hen, right? So can be that one that can like push you and challenge you, but also like embrace you and hug you and help you understand all the things that go along with the ups and downs and the long season that we have, this sprint marathon of a season.
Natasha Howard isn't just another interior defender. She knows what it takes to win a championship from her time with Seattle.
You think about bringing in Natasha Howard, who was drafted by the Indiana Fever when I was an assistant coach, was traded by the Indiana Fever when I was the head coach, just went out and won multiple championships after that, continued to
winners.
Absolutely, to continue to become one of the greatest players in the history of our league, played every different kind of role, is soft-spoken, so when she speaks, you listen because it matters, right? Gives us a little bit different look at that position than we've had before.
These veterans aren't random picks. They're carefully chosen pieces that complement Clark's playmaking, Boston's inside presence, and Mitchell's scoring. White isn't building a team of individual stars, but an interconnected unit where each player's strengths enhance the others.
Sophie Cunningham, toughness, right? Winner,
Winner,
ability to play multiple positions, has played with tough competitors. I mean, was essentially mentored by the all-time greatest in Diana Taurasi, right? So now she can be that mentor. She can be that player who comes in and brings us that toughness and that swag, yet keeps our versatility, can knock down shots, which shot making is so important, for us, and take some pressure off of our big three, because all of these other guys can do their own thing, right? But when they fit with what we have, I think it makes us really, really dangerous.